All right, so obviously I'm having some major technological issues today, including the outlet in my own wall. So I'm here at my final location, making this last little bit of the video because I really want to show you this calculator part because it makes everything so much faster. So before you go any further, do the line that said to square, right? So we had subtracted 7 from everything. Do the next line where it says to square. And then the final line of the box says to multiply each little part. So we're going to multiply the probability times that square. All right, so I already did it for the whole point of just moving this video along and finishing. So again, if you haven't gotten that far, pause it, fill out the rest of that table as best you can. And then here are the answers to that table. We did 2 minus 7 was -5. So we get positive 25. Sorry, these should all be positive because they're squares. 3 minus 7 was -4. When we squared it, it's a positive 16. So you notice I filled in all of the squares. Now I was not able to fit this next part in this box, but just like we did earlier, we are going to multiply. In this case, we are multiplying the probability times the difference. That is the fraction row, the fraction row probability times that difference squared. So I did 25 times, that's not what I meant to highlight. I'll just try to underline it. 25 times 1/36. And then that should go in this first box. It's 25/36. 16 times 1/18. So 16/18. Those all go in here. And what we're going to do, just like before, when we multiply, is we're going to add all of those up. So take a minute, write all of those fractions in here if you haven't already, and then add up that whole bottom row. So I'm going to just pause it, and then I will be right here getting ready to tell you the answer for part B and C. And then even better, I'm going to show you a way better way to do this, and it'll be perfect. Okay, so pause it, go ahead and write in those values and add them all up, see what you get. All right, so hopefully you paused it. And so now we're going to add up all of those numbers. So again, we had 25/36. We had 16/18 and so forth. I added them all up, but you can just type them all into your calculator just like fractions. And when you get to the answer of adding them all up, you should get 5.8 and then a whole bunch of 3s. That's the answer when you add up all those fractions. Now you might have an answer that is a fraction. That's fine too. I just did it because I knew we were going to take the square root in a minute. If you got, let me see what that would be. If 35/6, that's perfect too. If that's the answer you got, both of those are great. If you didn't, rewind it, type in that whole line again into your calculator. Okay. If you're not, like, seriously, it's not that big of a deal. Like, don't stress over this chart because I'm about to show you a way better way. But you never truly appreciate how much better the better way is unless you see how terrible the terrible way is. Okay. So again, if you're stressing over this box, don't. I will fix it very soon. Just want to get to the last answer. Okay. The last answer is we are going to look for the standard deviation or sigma, lowercase sigma. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the square root of either one of those answers above. And so you would probably just have it still in your calculator. So you don't even need to write it down, of course, because it's the first time we're doing it. But 35/6, and then you're going to do the square root of that. And what we're going to do for our final answer is we're going to round to 2 decimal places. So we have 35 over 6. I'm going to do the square root of that, and I get 2.42. Now it says 2.41 on my calculator, but because there's a 5, we're going to round it. Let me try that again. I'm going to go to the calculator anyway, so let me just switch over and let's see. I want to share my calculator. Oh, look at this. It's getting mad at me. Continue. Okay. Okay. Come on. Let's share. There we go. Okay. So we had, what do we say? 35. Now say you just had your answer. 35 over 6. You had that either a fraction or decimal. I don't care, whichever one you had. You had that in your calculator. You want to do the square root of that. Well, a real quick, easy way to do that. Here's the square root. It's right above the x squared, but it's green. So I'm going to hit second, and then I'm going to hit the x squared, which accesses a square root. You can see the square root on my screen. And now let's just say we're too lazy to type in 35 over 6. I mean, that's not terrible, but sometimes you are too lazy. Sometimes it's a really long thing to type in. So we can say, I want to take the square root of that answer right up above. Answer is down here by the minus sign. And again, it's in green. So I'm going to hit second, the minus sign, which gives me the answer. So it says the square root of the answer. And that's the number I was talking about, 2.42 if you round it to the nearest tenth. The nearest hundredth, because that 5 cuts it off right there. Okay. Terrible problem. Let's do this problem again. Everything. We're going to go back to the beginning. Like we're going to find the expected value. We're going to find the standard deviation, but we're going to do it all like really fabulously. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our lists like we have been doing. 1 variable stats. We don't go to 2 variable stats until chapter 12. That's a long ways from now. What am I doing? I haven't even typed in a list. This is my brand new calculator. Okay, get out of here. Data. Let's start here. Let's type in our list. And so what we're going to type in is all of this nonsense from this problem. No, that's too much nonsense. This right here, that chart, just the chart part, just the part that's printed in black, not the stuff I typed in. The X is going to go in L1. The P of X is going to go in L2. So you have it written down. I know this in my head, so I will show you what this looks like. Okay. So we have in our L1, we had 2, come on, give me my 2. Get out. Okay, let's try this again. We have 2. There we go. 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 12, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now for the probability, so we have X is the number on the dice. The probability of 2 was 1 out of 36. It does not matter if you use the fraction button or the division button. Oopsies. I'm going to do 1 fraction button, 36. It still looks like division. It's fine. I think if you use the division button, it gives you a decimal. And so as we go through this list, we then have 1 over 18. Let's see what happens if I use the division button. 1 over 18. Okay, it's a decimal. It's fine. It doesn't matter either way. It knows what it's doing. I like the fractions, so I'll just keep going with the fractions. And then we had 1 over 12. Again, this is from that table that we've been using with the dice. 1 out of 9. 5 over 36. Now, remember I said 7 was 6 out of 36. Look what happens if you type that. If you type in 6 out of 36, it reduces to 1/6 for you. So it doesn't matter which one you type in. Okay, going back the other direction, 5 out of 36. 9 was 1 out of 9. And then we had 1 out of 12. And 1 out of 18. And then finally 1 out of 36. Okay, our lines match up. 12 is next to 1 out of 36. Fabulous. So let's go to, we have our lists in, let's go to stat. So I'm just going to get out of here. You don't have to, you can go straight to stat, but I just quit. Second, stat. Remember, I think by now most people know how to do all this, but if at any point, if I'm going too fast, just go back and either look at the key press history or just look at what's highlighted in red. Okay, one variable stats. Now, this is a frequency because I have an L1 and an L2. So my data, my 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever's on the dice is my L1. Enter. My frequency is my probability. Frequency, probability, kind of sound the same, right? So frequency, I'm going to go over to L2 and hit enter. Calculate is now flashing, hit enter again. And I have a whole list. Notice n equals 1. That is great. That means it's probability distribution. Remember the whole thing you had to multiply out and equal 1? We're good. All right. Next up, X bar equals 7. What is X bar? It's the mean. Fabulous. We said the mean equals 7. Now, we called it mu. Mu and X bar, because the population and the sample mean are exactly the same, we don't need to worry about it. They are not going to put a mu on your calculator because mu and X bar are always going to be the same here. So therefore, they just did it once and they call it X bar. However, for standard deviation, notice we have an error for S for the sample standard deviation. But if you go down to number 4, which is sigma, we have, this is me like my little fireworks. We have the answer. That's sigma. That is the 2.42 that we got. And yes, we pushed a lot of buttons, but wasn't that way faster than all of those fractions, multiplication and adding and squaring and blah, blah, blah. So now that we know how to do it the terrible way, and now that we know how to do it the less terrible way, I propose we do it the less terrible way on the calculator. So from here on out, when we do problems like these, I'm going to use my calculator to use the 2 lists and to get my mu, which is X bar, and my sigma. All right, that was a lot. I'm really hoping I'm able to edit this together like a nice cohesive video. Yeah, look at my clock. It's like 2:10 a.m. on, yeah, the date's wrong, the time's wrong, everything's wrong. I'm going to stop before I complain anymore. I will get this put together for you, have it posted. Come visit me in my office hours if you have questions on this. If you have a different calculator, I might be able to help you. If you have a graphing calculator, I could shoot you a file to help you enter lists. Please let me know if you have any questions. All right, thank you. Bye.